two awesome players doing battle again. Our job has been pretty easy this week,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah, it's been nice. Not only are the good players doing incredibly well, but eventually they play each other, and then like last round, we just see incredible games of Magic.
Yeah, the studs are just running into each other, which, as you said, makes for great Magic, and this should be a pretty good one here, too. Favorite in this match?
So the Delver decks are closer to the beatdown deck scale, you know, if we go straight from like beatdown to control. And I feel like Esper Deathblade is a little closer to control. They're a little slower, and I feel like that means that they have to take the control role in this matchup. And you know, they play this Esper Deathblade deck because they think they do that very well. They think that their Rug or Blue-White-Red Delver matchup is actually quite good.
Todd is going to sacrifice his Polluted Delta. We'll see what land he wants to search for and what he wants to do when he does find it. Looks like it will be Underground Sea. You saw Seth just lead off here with the Grim Lavamancer, and Todd is going to try to resolve this Stoneforge Mystic. We'll see if Seth has a Daze or a Force of Will. And he does have a Daze, so that's going to go away. Todd will finish shuffling and then present his deck over to Seth. But Seth is behind as far as lands are concerned. So Seth will draw. And he has Volcanic already in the hand. We'll see what he wants to do here on his second turn of the game. An attack for 1 is a good place to begin. Anderson's going to go down to 18. And Seth will just pass the turn back over to Todd. Todd does have another Stoneforge Mystic in hand. Now he has a Force of Will as well. So he can put Seth to the test here again right away. He can also Wasteland him. And I know from watching Todd play Magic, if he can Wasteland you, he's going to Wasteland you.
Yeah, I mean, he's not quite aggressive as someone like Alex Bertoncini, right? Like, Alex definitely snaps off the Wasteland any chance he gets. But when your opponent has a Grim Lavamancer with a card in the graveyard, it doesn't take much to, you know, have that thing shoot down the Stoneforge Mystic. It's just like one cantrip, one fetch land away. And now, yeah, like you said, you put Seth to the test. Do you have another red source?
It looks like the answer is yes, that he does. So he's going to activate Lavamancer to get Stoneforge Mystic off the table.
And I like the main phase activation there, even though Todd only searched up a Jite, because, you know, Jite is good, but not so good in the face of an active Grim Lavamancer. So you got to think like, oh, maybe Todd actually just has the Batterskull in his hand. I don't want to let him untap and give him the opportunity to drop that into play.
Todd just going to pass the turn back. Could have deployed the Jite, just hard casting it, but elected not to.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. We see a Spell Pierce in his hand, and if Seth wants to play like a Tundra and then maybe a Ponder or a Brainstorm, try and like dig for lands, Todd has that Spell Pierce at the ready. And plus, he might also want to save that Jite to Brainstorm away and then shuffle his deck later.
Todd draws a copy of True Nemesis. You saw Seth use a Wasteland to take care of the Underground Sea. Now Todd's going to tap out to cast the Jite. Not congruous with what he did the last turn.
Yeah, that's why it's kind of interesting. I guess, you know, at this point, Todd is just like, well, I want to get this thing out there before I get Wastelanded again, potentially. So it's understandable.
Seth's going to play a Flooded Strand. Thought about a Volcanic. Might go to a Tundra now, though. There's no Plateau.
No Plateau. And Seth does have 4 Volcanic Islands. I could understand him being a little scared of Todd having another Wasteland and then just cutting him off from red completely for the rest of the game, but he still does have another Volcanic after that.
Also, Todd only with 2 Wastelands.
Well, that's certainly true.
Seth doesn't know that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, there's a Delver of Secrets. Todd will not force a will that. He will draw a card, however. He's looking for a land. There's a Snapcaster Mage, which is a decent draw. You know, if Todd's able to find a land, you have to imagine he's going to slam down that True Nemesis and then try to ride that plus Unazawa Jite to victory. A Force of Will be revealed. The Delver will flip. That's actually a pretty good reveal.
Yeah, I mean, that certainly complicates matters for Todd, right? Like, if his plan was stick True Name Nemesis, I mean, he does have a Force of Will, but then that opens him up to potentially getting dazed as well, so. This game is probably not as comfortable as Todd would want it to be.
Arid Mesa comes into play. An attack for 4. We'll put Todd down to 12. Now we'll sacrifice that. No stifles to worry about here for Seth. So go get a Tundra. And now a Jite of his own. So See if Todd maybe wants to fight over this.
Yeah, that certainly seems spell pierceable. The other option is letting that resolve, running out Snapcaster Mage end of turn, and tuning up his own JIT to that.
And try to get that in.
Yeah.
That's obviously risky for a couple of reasons. You know, if it doesn't work out, then the GTA's on the table.
Right. So maybe you want to play Snapcaster, see if that resolves, and then force a will the GTA.
He's going to Snapcaster this. I'm not sure if this is in response or not, but he might be taking the line that you just did mention. Yep, in response. Confirmation. Now Seth's in the tank. Back and forth we go.
Yeah, Seth is certainly ahead here, but you definitely want to consider your options, you know?
This feels like such a reluctant force from Seth.
Yeah.
You know, the way that he's kind of going through his hand, especially with the way he set the card down, too. It's just like,
And it's also just like, why are you Snapcastering with an empty graveyard in response to my GTA?
Yeah, it's like, it's very clear that the only reason you're doing this is try to get your GTA online. Now, Daze is really good.
It is really good. And I'm not sure if that leaves him without a blue card to force a will.
And Todd just lets that resolve. All right. Now, he did peel the land.
Yeah, and now it's True Name Nemesis time.
And, you know, maybe part of Todd's thinking there, because, you know, he could have forced the GTA, you know, and have that fight. But maybe the plan now is, look, if I peel a land, I get my True Name into play, and I can protect it with this Force of Will.
Right.
And then, you know, Seth can't beat that.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, Todd's at 11, Seth's at 18.
Sure, maybe his thinking is he can't beat that. Like, I'm not saying he can't beat it. Maybe the Todd's thinking is, I don't think he can beat that. Like, in combination with other things showing up to the party.
Yeah, certainly.
So True Name's in.
True Name's in, but Seth potentially has the first attack in with the GTA. He gets the first counters, and that's generally pretty huge, especially when he has the higher life total. If it just devolves into a pure racing situation.
Yep. And just make you wonder, you know, Todd's gripping that Force Will and blue card pretty tight. He hasn't used it yet.
Yeah.
So here's an attack for 3. Trigger on the GTA, 2 charge counters on. Todd's going to take 3. He's going to go down to 8. Lavamancer can you know, complicate things a little bit. As you mentioned, Todd's life total's pretty low. Todd will draw a card. Didn't get a great look at that one. I think it was a Swords.
That was a Swords to Plowshares, and that is basically what Todd was looking for, because now he can suit the GTA up to the True Name, get in there. Seth can't block. He can't kill it with his own GTA, and he can finish off the Lavamancer with a GTA counter and then use Swords on the Insectile Aberration, and then...
How do you order the spells here?
Well, I would Swords first.
Okay.
I would make sure that that happens, you know.
You know, do you equip first, and then maybe your Swords gets dazed, or now we just go this route. We Swords first. You know, we make sure that we can pay for days.
Yeah.
And then we're probably okay.
Right. I mean, even if you get dazed here, you're still fine just paying.
And this might be what Todd was saving this Force for all along, but continue.
Yeah. I mean, even if you get dazed here, you pay, get that Insectile Aberration out of there. Next turn, Seth can suit the GTA up to his Grim Lavamancer, but he can't really attack you because you have True Name.
Yep.
I mean, if I'm in Seth's spot and I have a daze here, you're probably still using it.
You're not happy.
No, not at all. I mean, but you have to do anything you can to prevent that GTA from getting a hit in.
But it doesn't look like he's able to do that, so Todd's immediately going to suit up because he knows it's super safe, can't get True Name off the board. This is going to come through. 2 counters are on that. I imagine he's going to kill the Grim Lavamancer right away, not to take any damage from it.
Yeah, I can't imagine there being a great reason to wait.
And he's going reach in. 1 card left, but he's got his Mondo combo.
Yeah, this is the actual combo finish in these kind of mid-rangey blue mirrors.
I think he's just kind of weighing if I'm supposed to do this now or not, and he will do that, so he's going to get that off the table. Seth is going to untap and take a draw here, and he knows he's beat. Just like that. I mean, there's no more game to be played when True Name plus GTA is online. Seth knows that. He picks it up right away. Todd Anderson wins game number 1. Esper Deathblade up a game over Blue Red Delver. His patience with Force of Will paid off.
It did. And think about if he did not play that GTA on the turn where it looked kind of weird that he didn't because he didn't play the turn before.
Yeah, he switches actions that turn.
He switches actions, ran it out there, and then a few turns later, he had the True Name but didn't have enough mana to like play GTA and equip it in the same turn. Plus, he also had the Swords of Plowshares on that turn.
Yeah. This is true.
So that was a big deal, him switching gears, recognizing that that might come into play in a later time.
You and I were both a little skeptical about the switching gears,
Yeah,
too.
it is kind of strange to do that. But, I mean, if I was in his spot and was going to hold the GTA, I might have also like force willed Seth Delver. You know, like maybe I would have played that game a little bit differently. But I feel like Todd played a little more aggressively, and that was what allowed him to win that game. So
He likes to get aggressive.
yeah,
I know that about him. We'll take a look at the sideboards here. You've got sets in front of you.
2 Grafdigger's Cage, 1 Force of Will, 3 Pyroblast, 2 Rest in Peace, 1 Flusterstorm, 1 Spell Pierce, 3 Meddling Mage, 1 Wear Tear, 1 Submerge. So Pyroblast is basically the answer to True Name Nemesis, only when it's on the stack. But that is generally good enough. You also have Flusterstorm, Spell Pierce, which are potentially good depending on what Seth is scared of. Spell Pierce handles some of the Planeswalkers like Liliana of the Veil, which Todd might use to kill Seth's true name Nemesi.
Nemesis.
Flusterstorm, not very effective against equipment and planeswalkers, but very good in counter wars. And then he has a Wear Tear, which is very good in the equipment mirrors. Submerged, Todd has 1 force in his deck, but that seems like a stretch to try and get that turned on.
I think you're going a little deep there.
It is a little deep.
3 Meddling Mage, 2 Zealous Persecution, 2 Abrupt Decay, a Thoughtseize, a Force of Will, a Path to Exile, Supreme Verdict, 2 Pithy Needle, Sword of Feast and Famine, and a Singleton Jace the Mind Sculptor. All right, let's take a look here. Abrupt Decay, I think, is pretty easy to bring in. Not sure if he wants additional discard in Thoughtseize when he's already starting 3 Thoughtseizes, though he does not have any Inquisition of Kozilek. Additional Force of Will. Do you like Force of Will in this matchups where it's like it's pretty fair, but there are definitely spells worth countering?
I think in decks where you have an abundance of blue cards, it is fine to keep in Force of Will, but in a deck like Todd's, I know that they did a lot of work to put more blue cards back in the deck so that Force was more live. But I feel like these matchups are mostly about board position, and I know that a lot of people think that the blue mirrors are basically about card advantage, and they're grindy, and you're trading 1 for 1, and that's kind of true, but ultimately it comes down to like True Name Nemesis plus GTA, right? Like that is the end game. Todd was all in at the end of that game, but he had his combo, and Force of Will was instrumental in making sure that that happened. So I do think you want some. Maybe you don't want to go up to the full 4.
Path to Exile is like a virtual free roll.
It is. Seth does not have any basic lands. If you're in the market for more removal, that is certainly a good one.
Verdict's like okay. There are definitely things worth killing because Seth has some number of True Nemesis in his deck, but I mean, Todd has so many creatures that I'm not sure that Verdict is something that he wants. It feels like kind of Submerge-esque in my mind where it's like you're trying to like level your opponent by boarding that in.
Verdict is basically the panic button against Delver decks.
Yeah.
So I feel like Todd wants to bring that in here, especially against Seth, who does not have Stifle. Like the blue-white red decks generally don't have Stifle. They do have 4 Wastelands, so it can be tough to get to 4 mana at times, but that is generally the time where like the Delver deck is hell-bent, but they have like 2 or 3 threats in play. They've kind of like exhausted all their resources trying to stop you from setting up whatever you're trying to set up. You finally draw that 4th land, you're like, Verdict, now I'm back in it.
The Needles, I don't think do much here. The Sword of Feast and Famine, you know, the Jace is like kind of way to break things open if you can get to that point, but it feels like kind of like Verdict, as you mentioned, where it's a 4-mana spell. Not exactly a panic button, obviously, they're different cards, but it's tough to get there, especially when your opponent has blast effects.
Yeah, I mean, Jace against Rug Delver is generally pretty bad because they have things like Nimble Mongoose, and they're very, very aggressive. This blue-white-red deck is trying to go a little bit longer, so Jace is a little more realistic against them. You are more likely to get to 4 mana and have it actually be good, especially since they don't have many hexproof threats. But you know, there are a lot of like lightning bolts flying around. There's Grim Lavamancer, True Name Nemesis. There are a lot of cards that are very good against Jace.
Well, we'll see how both players do sideboard here. Game number 2 about to be underway, and it looks like Seth is mulliganing very quickly, so Todd will take a look at his opening hand. And we'll see if he likes what he sees.
And I guess I was wrong. Todd does have 2 forests, actually.
Oh, he's got Savannah and the Trop.
Yeah.
Okay. Normally they only have 1.
Right, so not like that makes Submerge good by any means, but this is certainly a matchup where Todd might be interested in fetching out his green mana so that he can gain life off Deathrite Shaman. And also you mentioned Abrupt Decay potentially coming in to break up GTA and stuff. So maybe he does want the green, but still, it is a stretch.
I expect to see Abrupt Decay come in.
Yeah, I would too, but
plenty of targets.
But it's like even if you're Seth and you know Todd's deck list, you know he has a couple forests, he wants to fetch green mana, he probably has Abrupt Decay. It's like you're still probably staying away from that Submerge.
Yeah, I would think so. So Seth with a very fast mulligan, so let's see if he can find 6 cards that are better as he is on the play this game. Can I give it a look over? Looks like his only land might be a Wasteland. I don't have a great look, but it doesn't look all that great to me. And Seth, again, is not one, I've known him for a while. He's not a big fan of mulliganing.
When he pulls the trigger, it's because he means business,
Yeah.
you know?
It looks like he's going to keep. Oh, he's going to lead off with the Wasteland.
I wonder if that's a tell.
See what land Todd wants to play. Yeah, that's going to make the Wasteland plan not so good. Seth
Yeah.
is going to draw a card.
And that did not look like a land.
Nope.
That looked like a 3-drop.
I had a bit of a feeling it was just a Wasteland.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if it was like Wasteland and another land, Seth probably snap keeps it.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously agree with you. It's just, there's a situation like this where, like, he's hoping to peel. And he's hoping that, Todd draws him very good. Like, maybe the Wasteland can get him. But he's playing against, Esper Deathblade, where, if you're playing against the Wasteland, then Deathrite Shaman destroys that plan.
Certainly.
Absolutely blows it up. And the other thing, too, really quickly here is, Seth is kind of on borrowed time. Like, he doesn't really have, like, a lot of turns to miss because, I mean, this is Legacy. So, as a result, like, you're playing this format where, your decisions are compacted quite a bit on the early turns of the game.
Yeah, that's
especially in
true.
this matchup, too. So,
yeah, I mean, I think Seth felt like the Wasteland could potentially slow his opponent down. And also, Todd probably feels like he is the control deck in this matchup. So, it is possible that he does board in things like Supreme Verdict and he's trying to play a slower game. But as it just so happens, like, double Deathrite Shaman, that puts Todd very far ahead.
yeah. Feel free to Wasteland.
Yeah.
Just one of the reasons that card is ridiculously powerful. As Anderson's going to resolve a Brainstorm here. He's going to have to put a couple cards back. I don't know if he has a fetch land among that grouper. You do see the Stoneforge Mystic, but
Yeah.
Deathrites aren't tapping for mana just yet.
But also, no fetch land isn't the worst, just because it looked like all the spells that he brainstormed into were pretty solid. You know, he has Force of Will plus blue card, a couple copies of Liliana the Veil, and now he actually does get his Shuffler with Stoneforge Mystic. I'm sure he would like his Deathrites to be active, but
Beat him down.
yeah, you can't have everything and just give him the 1-2 beats.
Yeah, give him the business.
Here they come. What are you gonna do?
Take two, mostly. Watch you search for a Batter Skull. Hope I draw a land, and he's going to extend it very quickly. Todd Anderson, 8-1. Real chance at him to be the #1 overall seed.
Yeah, and we talked a little earlier about how people pick a deck in Legacy, learn it really well, do really well with the deck. A while ago,